Hello. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. It's been a busy day. Busy day. If you've not been here before, thank you for coming. My name is Elizabeth, and I am your friendly hillbilly host. And this is Hillbilly Crime. We've got Sweet Tater here with us, and she is my mama. And so tonight, we are just going to use this show to unpack Mickey's deposition. All right. We're going to kind of review it. We're going to go back over it. We're going to make some corrections. I found out some things that I kind of got wrong last night, so we're going to fix that. And I also want to go ahead and just kind of give a little preview. If you are not sure what we're doing or what we're talking about, so on September 19th, 2024, Letcher County Sheriff's Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Stines went into the courthouse and pew-pewed our district judge Kevin Mullins 8 times, unaliving him in his judge's chambers. It was caught on camera. There was a security camera there in his chambers. And so this is not a whodunit. We know who done it. The question is why. The question is what was going on. They were friends. They were very good friends. They were long time friends. Mickey, the sheriff, was the bailiff in Judge Mullins's courtroom. But one thing that I kind of realized by listening to this deposition, Mickey was there first, wasn't he? Well, I don't know about first, but Mickey was bailiff for the judge before Judge Mullins, which would have been Judge Wood. I think was his name. And so let me pull this up here. And we're just going to kind of go back over it some. I want to go past that and get to the beginning of it. Okay. So how is everybody? What do you guys think? Let's look at some comments here. Allegedly, LESA, welcome. Buckle up, buttercups. Yeah, it's very interesting. Some of the new information that I found out today. So one of my girlfriends, one of my very best friends, worked at the courthouse for about 3 years. And she worked there while Judge Mullins was there, and she worked there while Mickey Stines was sheriff. And so she and anybody who was a smoker who worked there, because Judge Mullins smoked cigarettes, and even Judge Kraft, the upstairs judge, the felony judge, circuit court judge, he also smoked cigarettes. So even though most courthouses went non-smoking a long time ago, ours, the average citizen couldn't go in there and light up a cigarette. It wasn't like that. Judge Mullins and the judges kind of run the courthouse down there. Don't you think, Mom? Who do you think is the authority?
Well, the judges are, but I don't know if they are in most courthouses or not.
I don't either. But in ours, the judges kind of run the show. Judge Mullins and Judge Kraft are the top dogs. And before them, it was Judge Wright and Judge Wood or whoever I wasn't here when he was judge, so I didn't know him. But let's see. How is everybody? Everybody's talking about eggs.
Well, is it Easter egg time?
Oh, I don't know. It's almost Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we got to talk about Valentine's.
Yeah, we had a great. We have been streaming the Megan Boswell trial during the day. They're in deliberations right now. And as soon as this one is ending, we'll pick up another one. So we'll be doing trial watches during the day if y'all want to join us for those. And we have a great chat. We got the best chat in YouTube, y'all. Come on, everyone. Hit that like button. Yeah, give us a like. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It don't cost you nothing. Yes, hit that like on your way in. Lynette Eads, hello again, everyone. We got a lot of people that was with us today. Leanne, popcorn finger, print on button. Absolutely. Here we go. Samantha Thompson, mission, hit the like button, successful. That's what we like to see. Let's see. So let me get down here to the bottom comments. What do you guys think? Hi, Miss Mert. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What did you guys think as we were reading that deposition? LS, the circuit judges rule the courthouse statewide. Don Tackett, Hillbilly Army, baby. That's right, Hillbilly Army. Mommy or Mammy, I literally just watched your last video, then rushed over here. Well, we are glad you are here. Angel Fire. He was bailiff first. Kevin was still an attorney at that time. So Kevin was an assistant attorney. And I don't know if he was in the county attorney's office or if he was in the Commonwealth attorney's office. Now, for Kentucky, all states kind of do their own thing, or they call it different in some states. Kentucky's a Commonwealth. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. But so the way that it goes, the district court is for misdemeanors. So if you get charged with misdemeanor or whatever, or get arrested, you get arraigned in the district court. Then if it's a felony or something, then they send it upstairs. There's several different ways, I don't know about several different, but they've got 60 days to indict you. If they don't indict you within I think they changed that law. I think I heard Matt Butler saying that they changed that. But if they don't indict you, like if you're arrested and you're in jail and you're being held in jail, if they don't indict you within 60 days, then they usually, from my understanding, remember, I'm no lawyer, but from my understanding, they have to kick you. They have to let you go. But then they can still indict you later after the 60 days. And if they indict you, then they go arrest you and bring you back to jail. But then you go through the upstairs part. You kind of go through the whole process all over again, just upstairs. And that would be your trial court or, whatever. And if I get any of that wrong, y'all let me know. It's been a while since I've been there in that regard. Anyway. But so that's the way that and the county attorney who would be Jamie Hatton for Letcher County. Jamie Hatton is the lawyer that we heard in the deposition. He was the one that Mickey went to and asked about the termination letter. So a Commonwealth attorney is upstairs. Commonwealth attorney is the state attorney that handles the felonies. And so Judge Kraft is the upstairs circuit court judge. Edison Banks was the Commonwealth attorney for the circuit court in Letcher County. He's the one that passed away that had the in-home health aid. Got caught with all them rugs. So that's the difference between a county attorney and a Commonwealth attorney. Matt Butler is our Letcher County Commonwealth attorney now. He took Edison's place. All right. LS, they must indict within 60 days if the preliminary hearing, if the case is bound over to the grand jury by the district court. Yep, that's right. That's right. Norma Parrish, you were awesome on STS today. Held your own. You were very professional and knowledgeable. Hope Tater gets to watch it and she raised you right. Oh. Hey, Tater over there, what are you doing?
I'm just looking at songs.
Okay, well, come here and pay attention.
Well, all right.
Joanne Price, I was thinking I'd be clear what angered Mickey towards the judge. There must be more of what he wasn't told. And okay, I'm starting to change my mind on some of this stuff. I just want to, and remember, I've always said this. I think that that's important, that we always keep an open mind with so many of these cases. As we learn new information, it might just change our mind. And my mind is starting to change, guys. So this is kind of what I think. I'm starting to wonder, maybe not think, but I am starting to wonder. So I've seen a whole lot of comments. A lot of people don't think Mickey was very smart. I think he's coming off to people who didn't know him as, kind of, somebody said that he was giving them Forrest Gump vibes, which I don't know what this encephalitis does to the brain. I don't know. From what I've learned, I just kind of Googled it and read a couple things about it. It's not supposed to do a whole lot of damage, or it's not supposed to do a whole lot of or cause a whole lot of issues like this that would cause him to go do something like this.
He was coming off of what?
Well, they said he had California encephalitis that was caused by tick bite. Have you ever heard of it?
Well, tick bites are really do a number on you for sure.
Would it cause you to lose?
Well, encephalitis would. It would cause brain damage.
We're not doctors. We're not doctors. Well, I understand that it causes issues.
How do we know he had some sort of stuff?
Right, exactly. How do we know what he has? We've got they're going to have to put forth some kind of paperwork or something to show that that's what he has. But I don't think that they're trying to use that as a defense. I think more, if you remember what his lawyer said, the very last interview that we've seen him give, he said that Mickey had every right to fear for his life. They were talking about the confusion and the paranoia that he was showing in the dash cam video after the incident at the courthouse. He acted really paranoid. He kept asking the state police, who are you handing me off to? Where are you taking me? Remember, in this deposition, he said he sent the everything that he had about Ben Fields to the state police. And what did they say? They said, we decline to investigate this case. We're not taking it because we're too close. We work too close with y'all. So the state police wouldn't even take the case, or wouldn't even take, yeah, it was a case. They wouldn't take the investigation against Ben Fields for what he was being accused of. But yet the state police is suitable to investigate this case. Like, they're not just as conflicted now. They worked with Mullins too. Okay. And then you remember how they kind of interacted with each other that day when they were taking him to the Leslie County Jail. The way that the police kept badgering him, like, was this had to do with your family, Mickey? Was this about your family, Mickey? Like, there was just something was off about that, the interaction. There was many things off about that interaction with all of them, but Mickey seemed like he was really afraid, and it wasn't. And if you really think about it, he wasn't saying anything that was like off the wall crazy. He was afraid of something specific. He was in fear for his life, obviously. He was afraid they were going to take him and hand him off to somebody else that was going to hurt him. He said that many times. Y'all are going to hurt me. You're going to let them hurt me. You know, he was traumatized. Even the person that commits the crime, something like this, is just as traumatized as a victim. Well, it just in a different way, I think. Let's see what you all think. Trudy Francis, I didn't hear anything that I would think would have set Mickey off that badly. Well, so, okay, you've got Judge Mullins, who is very smart, and he ran the show, right? You've got Jamie Hatton, the county attorney, who was fine. You know, he had his job. He kind of runs the show too. I mean, all of these guys are bosses, you know, they're the ones that run the show. And so you've got all these other players. The defense attorney, Daniel Dotson, you know, he's fine and set and whatever. He doesn't have. Mickey was the only one that didn't really have the education level as the rest of them did.
Yeah, but none of his deputies had more than him, I don't think.
They probably didn't. See, this is what I've always said about nepotism and the favoritism and the way that these departments end up being run. See, these police officers go from place to place to place. Like, they'll start out here at Jenkins, and then they'll go to Whitesburg, and then they'll go to Neon, or then they'll go to Elkhorn, or then they'll go to Hazard, or, you know, then they'll go to the Letcher County or the sheriff's department. These state police is kind of
they're an elite class.
Yeah. And they really want you to have a 4-year bachelor's degree in the state police now. I don't know if it's a requirement, but they like it. But these little departments that are run by like Neon, I mean, who's their boss? Okay, so when somebody's elected into an office here, it is their prerogative, it's their right to hire whoever they want to run their department or work in their department with them.
People that are going to help them out.
Right. And usually, what do people, I mean, we're just human beings, I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying, they hire their brother-in-laws or their cousins or, somebody that needs a job.
Well, they might be kin to a fourth of the county anyway.
Right, right, right.
So
So,
yeah, sometimes it's hard not to hire your kin folk.
yeah, true. Or just your friends, Um, and so you end up getting people who work someplace. They might not be necessarily the most qualified. They may not even be qualified.
Well,
Period.
they may be just collecting a check too, because
Yeah,
we know that there's not very good employment around here.
that's right. You got a lot of people that just, collect their checks.
So they want to do as little as they can, and the people that are troublemakers, like the troublemakers out there running their cars up and down the street and people calling the law on somebody all the time. If you're that person, they gonna get aggravated with you.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Um, but so you have these little departments and you have people that just go from place to place. And so they end up getting a lot of experience, or at least it looks like a lot of experience. They've been at Whitesburg, they've been at Jenkins, they've worked at Elkhorn, they've worked here. Well, to me, that kind of says, why are you jumping around a whole lot? Law enforcement is kind of a class all of its own when it comes to the way that they do their hiring and stuff. They have to be certified. Like they have to go to the academy and get their certification, and then their certification can be revoked, right? If they do bad stuff. But so let me get back to where I was started. Sorry, y'all. But I just wonder, okay, let me throw out a scenario or a speculation. What if Mickey, because I don't see Mickey as being, I don't know if he liked women and would mess around with women. I don't know. I have no idea. But I didn't think that Mickey was like that. Now, he could have very well, once he got up there and saw other people, his co-workers doing it.
He just doesn't give off that vibe.
Yeah,
of being sort of women learn to pick those people out if you believe in women's intuition. And I never got any or saw anything like that where he was a.
Well, what if he watched this from his coworkers for all these years? He's been up there 20 years in that courthouse.
Well, he probably had all the secrets.
And what if he'd been keeping everybody's secrets this whole time? Remember the video of the pew pew? What happened right before he pulled his thing out of, and did it? It was like the judge threw his hands up in the air like, I can't help you. That was how I interpreted that. I don't know. We don't know what they were saying, but by the body language, I interpreted that as the judge throwing his hands up like, I don't know what you want me to say. I can't help you. Now, I don't know if that's what happened, but that's what I interpreted that as. What if they weren't going to help? They couldn't help him. They really couldn't. There was nothing that nobody could do. I kind of think that Mickey was set up for failure when he started, because whoever hired him, and this is how I tie it into the nepotism thing, okay? They hire these people and they're not qualified. They don't understand about policies. They don't understand about procedures. They don't understand, but who does understand those things? County attorney understands those things. I don't know if Danny Webb did. I'm sure he did.
Well, he was a highway patrolman.
Yeah, I'm sure Danny Webb did. I mean, his son was a professor at the college for years and years and years. I mean, they were very, Danny Webb even was a professor, wasn't he? He taught law enforcement courses over there.
I don't think so. I don't remember it if he did.
I think he did. I think I took.
See, he retired and became sheriff, so he already had 2 incomes, so he probably didn't want to have another one.
I thought he came over there and did just a couple law enforcement classes.
I don't think he did, but
you don't think he did? Mm-mm. Okay. Well, he might not have. Somebody did. I just don't remember who it was because I took
it. Was the older craft man.
I didn't have James Wiley. I'm 99% sure it was Danny Webb Sr., but it could be not. It could have been somebody else.
But now the old Craftfoot feller taught classes there.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and he was that was Jimmy Craft's father, who was James Wiley Craft, who used to be the prosecutor in Letcher County. And then he became the mayor of Whitesburg until he passed away recently. But so my point is, all these other people were very educated. Okay. Danny Webb was very educated. He knew about policies and procedures and stuff like that. Even in the deposition, Mickey says that he came to him and said, do you want to be a road deputy or do you want to do court security? And he said, court security. He said, because if he wanted to be a road deputy, he was going to have to go to the academy. But he didn't choose that. He wanted to stay court security, so he didn't have to go to the academy. But which is fine. You know, that's fine. It wasn't a requirement at that time, I don't think, for them to have that 2-week training. And he was grandfathered in because he had been there for so long and he had already been doing it for so long. I don't have a problem with that at all. It's the administration part of it. So he has an assistant who is the LaShonda lady. Well, she's been there, or LaShawna, she's been there since Stephen Banks, I think. But if I'm wrong, y'all let me know. I think that she did, and that's one reason why I believe she always got to stay every time somebody new was voted in. Because every time a new administration came in, nobody knew what they were doing. Nobody knew how to run the sheriff's office. So they had to keep her on to have somebody that knew what was going on. But the sheriff's department has been run in such bad deficits for years and years and years. So the financing and the budgeting and all of that stuff has not been done properly at all. We also learned from the deposition that they made it very difficult for anybody to even put in a complaint against anybody.
Well, it was nigh impossible.
Well, yeah, he said that whenever somebody would come in, have them wait right here. I want to talk to them. So they would have to talk to him first, and then he would tell them that they had to put it in a formal complaint, and he would tell them that just to see if they would, and nobody ever would. You know, that's different. People have to live here. That's why.
And also, people like going complaining to the police about their neighbors, so they'd have been overrun with complaints. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
they should have had some sort of a process where a person could complain.
Well, and there was absolutely no discipline. Like once you got on, I don't know how you got fired. How did anybody get fired? See, that's the thing. That's another pet peeve that I have about law enforcement. Every job I've ever had, if I didn't do what I was supposed to be doing, or if I was caught talking like they were in those messages, honey, I'd have lost my job, and I wouldn't have. And there's no way I'd have been able to say anything about it. I had
Well,
somebody comment today and say there is a difference, but there sure is a difference between men and women's humor. Yeah, I could see how that was blowing off steam. I don't understand that. What was you going to say, Mom?
well, you know, they're there to protect the rights of people. And those people are black and they are white. They're Hispanic, they're Japanese, and they're male and they're female. And in looking at the things that was on their mind, they didn't have the rights of the citizens and justice for the citizens of the county as their main priority. They were there to hang out and have a good time with their friends. It looked to me like in reading those emails. Now there might have been some that wasn't so, that it was like the good old boys class reunion or something.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so let me get into some of these comments.
And you know that having justice is one of the most important things to the citizens of a county or a state or anything. Justice is the number one thing for people, for it to be just to all the parties. You know, all this stuff should not make a difference. You know, like that woman being sexually assaulted, those women, that is just such a horrendous thing, because it tears down the whole structure of the justice system.
It does. Well, but what kind of justice system did we have here? And it's showing. We are learning. We are seeing all of these people over time who have had these horrible experiences down there at the courthouse, whether it's with one, and trust me, if you get on one of them's bad side, you're on all of them's bad side. They're like a clan. They stick together no matter what it is. LS. Encephalitis is a swelling of the fluid around the brain. Yes, you would not have a quick recovery if it is caused by Lyme disease. He was probably having joint pain in every joint. And yeah,
there's other things that cause it too. I went and looked it up. Fever blisters, you know, the fever blisters on our lips, and herpes can cause encephalitis. It's an infection within the brain. And if it's treated, it's viral. It's a viral infection of the brain.
Interesting.
So
very.
I don't think he had that.
Well, we'll have to see.
If he had it, they will use it as part of a defense, so we'll know.
Yeah, Mammy says there has got to be more to this story that we have not heard yet. So let me get to the correction that I want to make. So I might as well go over here to the deposition. In the deposition, they talked about towards the end, well, I think it was on the second day that we read it. They talked about the Stacy guy who had brought forward this information to the circuit court about Ben kissing the Brianna girl. Well, the way that I read that last night, I thought that the Stacy guy must have been an employee or something there at the drug court.
But he was the boyfriend.
No, he apparently was a participant. He was a drug court participant. He was in drug court.
Oh, he was in drug court himself.
Allegedly. Let's put allegedly in here. So my friend informed me that she was there that day. She was there that day and was speaking to this boy, and he was telling her and her boyfriend all about it. And the police came out there, or whoever it was, and told him to go park in the parking lot. They were trying to put him in jail. They weren't trying to fire him. They were trying to put him in jail. Apparently, I don't know why, allegedly, for whatever reason, but he had come forward with this information about Ben. And my girlfriend said she thought that just Judge Kraft and Robbie Kinser just didn't believe him. They thought that he was trying to get out of trouble.
Well, that's understandable, isn't it?
Well, it is.
And he wasn't filing a formal complaint.
Well, we don't know. We don't know how that went. We don't know. All we know is what it said in that deposition. And in that deposition, it said, Mickey said that after because he gave a timeline, after he got the phone call from the reporter who informed him and asked him, I guess, about the civil lawsuit that had been filed against him, Ben, and the ankle monitor company, Mickey said that was the first time he heard of it. So after he gets this phone call, then Judge Kraft and Robbie Kinser just show up at his office, at the sheriff's office, unannounced, he said. That's what he said, unannounced. He didn't know they were coming. And they came in and said, "We're so sorry. We didn't tell you this information sooner." So they knew it. How long did they know it? I'd like to know that.
Well, they didn't believe it, though.
Well, why didn't they believe it? They know, everybody down there knows how much improper sexual activities going on. And let me just pull out the big bombshell that I think, this is the biggest bombshell that I have seen from this deposition. And remember, we've still got Ben's deposition to go, and we've got Sabrina's deposition to read. Let's see. The biggest bombshell that I think that came out of this was from the polygraph. How in the world do we have a state agency that's doing polygraph examinations for law enforcement agencies where they can go in, admit to their crime, their misconduct, and be deemed suitable for hire? He was drinking on the job, drinking at the Letcher County Jail. Have you ever heard of such a thing? That the deputy or the employee at the jail is drinking? Was he transporting inmates when he was drinking? I mean, unbelievable. And then to top that off, him and his wife are sleeping together on duty at the jail. And he admitted that.
Well, was it his wife, or was it some of the people that were in jail? I couldn't figure that out.
Well, it said it later on in there. We're going to find out. I took it as it was him and his wife. But we see he was also doing it with other people, because he admitted it, that he was doing it with those women, in not just in the judge's chambers. He also admitted to doing it in the elevator of the courthouse and the bathroom down there at the courthouse. You know how many of us have used that bathroom? It's like a
Well, how many of us use the elevators?
right, the elevator, exactly. But they have one of those wheelchair bathrooms. It's big enough for disabled to use. It just blows me away. Extended fasting for morbid obesity. My story. Welcome, honey. Mickey seems to ask for repeating questions, then responds with, I do not recall. I understand the California encephalitis can be caused by mosquitoes, not ticks.
Well, it said it could be caused, when I looked it up, it said mosquitoes or ticks. And it said it could also be caused by the herpes simplex virus 1 and 2.
Wow.
But what do I know? I just looked it up. I mean, that's all I did was went on there and read.
Yeah.
I had a cousin that had encephalitis, and they called it sleeping sickness, didn't they?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and so the brain swelling has to go down, and they have to fight off the virus. And often it does leave some mental impairment. And sometimes the brain will fully recover, and sometimes it doesn't. But I don't think he had that, because he would have gone on medical leave, because he would have been paid.
Yeah, you're right. He would have. Here it is, right here. Let me there you go, so you guys can see it. So Mr. Shaw says, just for the record, he and I don't know how long it was. He suffers from California encephalitis.
I guess he does have it.
So when he is under stress, sometimes it causes some issues. Miss Baxter, I have never heard of that, Mr. Shaw. It is something that you get from tick bites, basically. Question. Oh, and then they ask her about that.
Well, they can prove whether he had encephalitis or not.
I'm sure they will be able to prove it.
And I would say that if he had encephalitis, that he might be able to.
But I don't think encephalitis makes psychotic breaks, where you know what I mean?
Yes, but it does things to the brain, and anything that disrupts the brain I don't think it would be psychotic, but it could be something.
Allegedly, Lisa says Mickey was a yes man. I'm starting to feel sorry for Mickey more than I really feel sorry for him, because I feel like he was set up to fail.
I think that I'm agreeing with, I don't think they'd bring it up if it wasn't in the medical records.
Yeah. Well, and later on in there, she asks him why he couldn't remember a lot. And he said, I was sick. I was sick at that time. So,
and he wouldn't, and it does disrupt the memory. And that's what I read. It said it disrupted the memory.
Rhonda says, tick bites. Wow. Brilliant defense.
Well, if he had that encephalitis.
Well, but the way that I've been taking their lawyers aren't using this as, he's got encephalitis and that's what caused this. I think that because this guy, Mr. Shaw, doesn't have anything to do with the pew that happened. This guy was an attorney that was assigned to him in his official capacity as the sheriff. So I guess that would be whoever the sheriff's association would have given him this lawyer to represent him in that capacity. And then Daniel Dotson must have been there, I'm assuming, was there as Mickey's individual capacity attorney. The other attorneys, I had somebody ask who the other ones were. The other attorneys that were there, one was Ben Fields's attorney, and the other one was the attorney for the ankle monitor company. So, and then Sabrina Adkins was also there on Zoom, so she was present.
Well, the one woman there, that Mrs. Baxter, she's from the state. And where's she from?
No, Miss Baxter is with Ned Pillersdorf.
Oh, okay. Now I thought she had something to do with the state.
No, she's the other attorney in Ned Pillersdorf's bunch.
Complex.
And they are representing two defendants, or not defendants, two of the victims. But
Right.
there's three victims that are in this lawsuit altogether.
Oh, I didn't know there was a third one.
But Ned is not representing the third one. The third one has a whole other attorney. And we've not heard hide and hair about that yet. All we've heard is about the two that Ned is representing.
Well, they're going to get some money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Especially the lawyers. The lawyers always get the most. Butterfly kisses. If he can't think or function right from a tick bite, then he had no business being a sheriff.
He had no business being on duty if he was not healthy.
Christy Cunningham. That's why Mickey lost his mind. Well, I don't think so. About the encephalitis. I think we have a hillbilly mob here, Prissy Pants says.
Well, I think there's probably a hillbilly mob in every small town.
Probably. That's exactly right. The lawyers with him wanted Mickey to look and sound dumb. And I'm just going to throw this out there, too. So you've got Dotson down there representing him. Do you think for a second that Mickey wouldn't be do you think that this bunch, let me take all that away. Okay, so let's say, hypothetically, that you have a circle of men that are all friends that work together. And one of them, and they're all lawyers and they're all in the legal circle. You know that there's such a thing that's called lawyer-client confidentiality. You know, they're not allowed to say anything or tell anybody anything. Do you think that everybody abides by that? It's the same kind of it's the same kind of thing. Doubt. Let me put doubt in my mind about jurors. Do you honestly think that every single juror goes home and doesn't talk to their husband or their wife when they're in bed at night about what happened in the courtroom that day, or maybe to their mommy, you know, sitting and drinking coffee, or just any scenario or situation? I don't think everybody's that trustworthy. I don't think hardly anybody is. And I just have a hard time believing. It really kind of opened my eyes when I found out Dotson was there at this deposition. And it opened my eyes to the fact that Mickey was so scared. And that lawyer said he was afraid that he was going to say the wrong thing, that he might say the wrong thing, or that he already had said the wrong thing.
Yeah, that lawyer sure was good, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, I like him. I like him
too.
He also said, when they asked him about the paranoid behavior that he was exhibiting that day, he said he had every right to fear for his life, that Mickey was in a very unique position, that he had secrets. Mickey knew all the secrets. He knew where all the bodies were buried. So I don't know, man. I'm just telling you.
Well, I felt sorry for Mickey all along, but I just can't. Them text messages got me.
LS says that's what I thought too. The lawyers were intimidating Mickey after he blurted out about Judge Kraft. He must have gotten the stink eye. You know, I thought the same thing. Because then after that, I do not recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. That's all you got out of him. But he sure did tell that about Judge Kraft and about Robbie Kentzer. You know, and the way that he said it, and remember how Ned said that during this deposition, he really, and Ned wasn't there at the deposition. So I think he's getting secondhand information from Miss Baxter, because he did say that someone else in his office was the one who actually did the deposition. And I don't think that they have a video of it. But it does say on the paperwork a videographer. And I thought usually they did do video depositions, but Ned said in one of his interviews that it was just audio. So I don't know. DE says Mickey was manipulated. I'm starting to wonder if he wasn't manipulated too.
Yeah, he talked about carbon monoxide when they were putting him in the back of that car.
Mm-hmm. Well, when he took that termination letter over to the county attorney, well, they made two versions of that termination letter. The one that Hatton gave him to give to Ben, apparently it didn't have in there, all it said was conduct unbecoming or something like that. It didn't say that he had about the SMEC stuff. And that lawyer questioned him, why didn't it have this stuff in there? I don't know.
A lawyer, our lawyer here in the county?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he went over to Jamie Hatton and had Hatton help him with the termination letter that he had to write and give to Ben Fields.
They probably didn't want to put that in there.
Do what?
They probably didn't want them to put that in there about the naughty stuff, but Hatton probably made them.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. The naughty stuff wasn't in there.
Yeah, but who had them put it in there?
It wasn't in there.
Oh, and none of them?
My point is, Hatton should have known that it needed to go in there. Why didn't he put it in there if he's the one that wrote it? I don't understand that. That's just a question that I have.
Well,
Samantha, the state police was way too nosy about why Mickey did what he did. They were. Bugman, no, he was genuinely afraid. Like really afraid. Like maybe he has information on something like that happening at another time. Well, if you know, or even if you heard that so and so was responsible for taking somebody and giving them to somebody else, if you had heard that, if you knew that, you'd be afraid that was what was going to happen. I think that I'm just starting to wonder. I'm wondering, did Mickey that day, did Mickey think, here I have kept all of your all's perverted secrets and kept my mouth shut, and I've been,
He was the priest.
well, no, I just wonder if, if he was the one that was kind of turning the blind eye all these years and to other people's bad sexual behavior. And then all of a sudden, he was kept out of the loop when his own deputy was apparently doing it in the courthouse, and everybody else apparently knew it, and nobody was telling him. I just don't know. Would he come in there and say, and then if the judge threw his hands up and was like, I can't help you, there's nothing else I can do. Well, I could see a scenario where Mickey, the only equalizer to their education and their, security, and, they're going to go on with their life and with their power and with their everything, and they're throwing me under the bus, and they're not going to stand up and help me. I can tell you that's an awful feeling when you need somebody's help, or you expect somebody to stand up for you, and they don't.
I mean, your friends turn against you. It's an awful hurt.
It is a betrayal like no other. And if it was a betrayal like this, something like this.
So do we have something else that's in the document that we're going to clarify or reread?
Well, here, let's see what everybody else is saying. He's seen too many people getting hurt, probably by him and others, state troopers. That's why he feared his life. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a decision yet that I've come to, because we don't have all the information yet. Really, all that dirty stuff between the deputies means nothing. Locker room talk. Well, but that's the problem. That kind of talk belongs in a locker room, not in a courthouse, not in the sheriff's department.
After the Facebook messages,
I no longer think Miss Mickey was an useful idiot. After the Facebook.
They're talking about the stuff that him and them dudes was sending back and forth.
Yes. And that's what I was talking about. That belongs in a locker room. It belongs at your poker parties, but it doesn't belong. And how do you separate that when you're all buddies and y'all work together and you party together and you play together and you just do all this stuff? There you go, Sean Dameron. They all friends and work buddies. I think he was afraid to say too much, afraid for his family. I think it was a setup, Sean says. Misty Miles, I think he was scared to death. If not, he deserves a Grammy. I think he was too. I don't think it was an act. I think he was really scared. I mean, he did just unalive a judge. Yeah, they did, Deborah says. They went to the academy. Oh, I don't know. She must be talking to somebody else. I wonder why Stines went to the lawyer's office first. Was it for legal advice, or was he the first target? I don't know. I see them making a movie about this whole situation in the not too far distant future. It's amazing. Trying to think like Mickey. If you get this info, KSP didn't want to touch it. Then he gets additional info that others are involved and knew before him. What would you do? The first day they were in court, that state detective kept saying he didn't know, he wasn't aware, beating around the bush. I thought that was odd. Yep. Miss Elaine, I thought that was odd too. Nepotism. You say Alan Bourne's daughter is working at the sheriff's office. Mike Dangus' grandson works there too. Well, There you go. There's a perfect example. Thank you, Louie. These two are the same ones that I had big trouble with. I don't think too highly of Bombs at all. Not at all. Sandy Jones, I got Lyme encephalitis in 2014. I was bedridden for 5 months. Long-term effects, brain fog, and memory. No paranoia, but general anxiety increased, but mostly from memory and brain fog issues.
And stress makes it worse.
And well, that's what they said. Yep. Boo says the reason they leave the place is because the sheriff can't control the officer. That's why they have so many cops turn out. And I'm just, so the way that they do that, you end up having a whole bunch of people that work that have a whole lot of power and have the ability to impact people's lives.
Severe impact.
Yes, absolutely. That Borums is the one that, honey, he did a number. He did everything he possibly could to try and take my children from me and put me in jail.
Well, he did.
He did. He come up there, pulled his gun, his pew out when he got out of the vehicle at 9:00 at night. I lived by myself with 2 children, and I saw him out the window. He had it drawn like this and was just walking. I mean, I just don't like that man. I don't like that man at all. And I knew that if I run my mouth, he might pew me. And it's the same kind of fear that Mommy had. When
the same kind of fear that Mickey had.
Same kind of fear Mickey had. Mommy told us one night, that other officer, he went up Mommy's and he was jumping all over Mommy, and the whole time. Now she's almost 80 years old, and that cop standing there with his hand on his stuff the whole time. He was standing there talking to her. Why do you do that to a 75-year-old lady that stands 5 foot tall? What, to intimidate her?
No, he was salivating. He was so mad because I was speaking back at him.
That's all it takes. I spoke back at them too. When they surrounded me in front of the fire department, and one would start cussing me and calling me names, and then this and it'd start, and then this and it'd start, and then this and it'd start, and then this and it'd start. And they were just getting closer, and they were getting louder, and they used more profanity as it went on. It was awful. It was unreal. And then the fire chief, his grandson played baseball with my kids, so he knew exactly who I was. We knew the fire. We lived right there. My kids knew the people at the fire department. They knew us. They knew I was a good mom. They knew they were absolutely out of line from the very beginning. The chief spoke up and said, "You guys got this wrong. You've got this wrong."
Yeah, but you mouthed at him like I did.
Well, after I hadn't said anything yet until this incident where they kept cussing me and yelling and yelling and yelling, and the whole time I'd had my head down. I felt ashamed. I felt, like I already felt like just the worst person in the world, but I had just graduated with my bachelor's degree, and I knew the way that this just kept escalating, and it escalated and it escalated and it escalated. And we were looking for my child. He was next door, by the way. He'd went to my next door neighbor's house. But I was like, and finally I just had enough. And I was like, listen, this is absolutely unacceptable. This is not how you treat the mother of a missing child. Like it was
it's time for me to go to bed.
Oh, okay, Mommy. Sorry. what gets me all tore up.
Well, it sure does.
It does, because they look what they did. How long did it take? How long did that affect my life? 6 years and $6,000.
Yep.
I had to go hire Ned Pillersdorf. Ned was my lawyer on that. Now, I won in the end, but it was awful. It was awful. And it was all because of that cop right there. He started it. Sean Damron, everything he says be reported back to the friends by the attorney sitting there. That was exactly what I was trying to say. It's a horrible feeling when you're a victim of that kind of abuse of power and that kind of abuse of position. They know the system, so they know what they can do and how they can manipulate it and maneuver everything. Like I said in that other one, whenever I got all the paperwork from that, when I filed my appeal and I got all the things from my administrative review, all the paperwork was blank. Now, it wasn't filled out, so they know what they can do. It's kind of like what we were saying in that trial. If a lawyer wants the jury to hear something, they can ask a question and then they can say, oh, I'll withdraw the question. Can't unring that bell. Even though they withdrew the question, the jury still heard what they said, and they abuse that. They abuse that ability. And if you've got enough of them that are buddies, they can run the whole dang thing. And that's what happens in a lot of our little towns. What in this deposition was the factor that set this off? We might not know until trial. Well, it was 3 days later, and he hadn't slept. You have to remember that. Mickey was not sleeping. He was not sleeping. He wasn't staying at home. Was he afraid? Was he afraid after he left? Was he afraid from the deposition that he had said the wrong thing? I don't know. Jessica, you grandfather me in. You got it, Chickabilly. I'm back to thinking Mickey was the last to know. And who could he turn to? No doubt Mickey was scared for his life. I think he knows a lot more than he let on. He also knows some people were red rum too. Well, we got several unsolved red rums. I don't know, we don't know if they're connected. We don't know. But I'm starting to find out there's more people that were related than we thought. Somebody messaged me today and asked me if somebody was related to somebody else, or they told me that they were. And I was like, what? They were like, well, wait a minute. Let me go double check that. So as soon as I have that confirmed, I'll let you know. But we are starting to see some additional information. I wondered who the woman was that Mickey got all defensive about coming to his card parties. He says, yes, she goes to Mom's too. Well, now that might have been the Brianna. So Brianna, allegedly, from what I've found out from my girlfriend, that boy Stacy and Brianna, I think, were seeing each other. Well, drug court has a rule. You're not allowed to fraternize with each other. So I think that they were getting in trouble because they were seeing each other. And that boy tells Robbie Cancer. Now this is how I've been told this kind of, and reading the deposition, so we're kind of putting it all together. So this boy tells Robbie Cancer, apparently. Robbie Cancer tells Judge Kraft, and they just don't believe him. They don't believe him. They think he's trying to get out of trouble for seeing this girl. But it was that girl who Ben Fields apparently kissed in his car. Now, I know Jennifer. Jennifer was mentioned in this deposition. That might be who you're talking about, Cinnamon. I'm not sure. I haven't spoken to Jennifer in a couple of years. I think she's been gone. So I don't know about Jennifer. And it didn't say anything else about her. They asked him about her. He said he knew her, and they never did really go anywhere with that questioning. So I'm not sure exactly what that's about, but I'll try to find out and I'll let you know. He wasn't born into the positions. He didn't have a powerful dad or family like the others. That's exactly right, Jody 66. That's what I'm saying. Was that the day that he did that? Was that like the equalizer? You know, you all have done this to me, and now you're hanging me out to dry. I mean, I don't know. I'm asking the question. Mikey learned during that deposition that he'd been controlled, Mickey, quite a bit by that county attorney. What the heck was all that crap about sending people to the county attorney to file a complaint? Exactly. And Jamie will throw your butt right out of his office. How many of you out there have been kicked out of Jamie's office? Because I've had about 100 reach out to me and tell me that they've been kicked out of Jamie's office. When I went down there and showed him all my stuff, and I was just so proud of myself, here I was. I didn't have anybody patting me on the back after it when I did all my stuff. There wasn't nobody that went out and did no big stories about my big transformation. And so when I was really getting on my feet, and I was feeling so good about myself, and I was just so proud of myself, honey, I was a hot mess. Everything I touched turned to dog doo-doo for a very, very long time. I was bad shape. But praise God. I found treatment, found the right treatment for me. And 15 years later, here I am, went to school and did all that. I mean, honey, I've got a wonderful academic resume. I mean, it's beautiful. It's impressive. But who did it impress? It only impressed me. It didn't impress nobody else. Oh, gosh. So I go down there to Jamie's office, and I take all my stuff in there, and I'm trying to tell him my story. And he says, who the hell told you could get a job in this field? Who the hell lied to you? I was like, huh? Man, you talk about walking out of there with your head down. He humbled me real good. He will kick you right out of his office. Right. If your buddies jump off a bridge, are you going to jump too? Ashley Short. I'm like you, Elizabeth. I don't think Mickey was like that. He might, and they even asked him about those messages, those Facebook messages and stuff. I think it was more, I was really surprised to see Jason Eccles' name, to be honest with you. I didn't know that Jason Eccles was that way. Those guys look like the biggest, nicest teddy bears down there at the courthouse. I mean, I can remember the first time I ever saw those guys. And I just thought that they were so funny and they were so kind to everybody. And they just talk with that southern drawl and they're slow, and they're all kind of chubby. So they kind of just reminded you of a great big old lovey teddy bear. My gosh. Then why was there a turtle pic with his face on it? And his duty's doing the dirty. Come on now. I'm telling you, LESA, it just kills me. I think the secrets were being kept from Mickey. He felt used, betrayed, and threatened. I mean, that's what it's looking more like. There you go, sweet tater. He knew a lot of the secrets. He was the sheriff. He's the head man in the county. I noticed Judge's body language, too. Big back turtle. Samantha, that's how I took it. I took it like the judge had his hands tied. He couldn't do anything. Ned Pillersdorf had already got hold of this. And you got to remember, Ned's a lawyer too. Don't get me wrong. I ain't saying nothing bad about him. But he's a lawyer. He wouldn't have took this case, I don't think. He wouldn't take mine. I tried to get him to take a civil case for me against that bunch down there. He wouldn't take it. He wouldn't help me. Because he knew how much of an uphill battle it was going to be. And I think this case, he knew was a slam dunk. That girl had text messages. Everything that she was telling him, he knew that he could prove. All he had to do was subpoena the records. So, and that was a slam dunk case. Now, and you also got to remember this. Nobody knew that Mickey was going to go pew-pew the judge. There wasn't this many eyeballs on it. There wasn't a whole bunch of names in that civil suit. We know now. They could have named several more people on this suit. They really could have. But only now I think that. It's like Monday morning quarterbacking, right? Before, when he filed this suit, and I'm no lawyer, remember, I'm just speaking my opinion about it all. When he filed this suit, it was just, about Ben and what Ben did, and that was all that it, and so he just, pretty package here. This ain't gonna cause too much trouble. But now that Mickey has done this with the judge, it's opened everything up that before they could keep under the rug. They could keep everything swept under the rug the way that it's always been. They had full control of everything. They had full control of everything. They don't know more now that Mickey's done this. Now, I'm not saying that Mickey did that on purpose, purposely knowing that, because I don't think that. I don't think he thought this through at all. Randall, I've known of state grants increasing the pay for small town police officers. I think one grant covered about $14 an hour, and the small town added $6 or $7. Oh, honey, there's so much. I've said this too. The nonprofit bunch is just taking over. the grants, when they learned that they could get grant money, when they started pushing all this money for opioid abuse and treatment and recovery, this went from a coal mining town. The coal mine shut down. It went from a coal mining town to a treatment town. It went to a recovery. I mean, that's what, that a lot of people in the town of LESA, where ARC was established, I guess. That was the first, maybe the first one that they did was in LESA. But the article that we read in one of our other shows, the community, like they came in and they just started buying up land everywhere. Well, they did it here too. Somebody told me that Judge Mullins went and talked to somebody about buying a building down there in, I don't know where it was at. They were going to buy a building to put a new church for ARC. And I guess Tweety Bird down there, my old Michael Clark, was going to be the preacher. Well, after Mickey did this, Tweety Bird went one way, Dotson went the other, a couple more went a couple other directions. It's just unbelievable. Ashley Short. I feel like Mickey was getting screwed for something they was all doing, and he wasn't happy about it. Well, how would you feel if you had, you worked in this environment all these years, and you've been witness to all these bad acts, all these instances of misconduct, all these power plays, and they've pulled the strings to get themselves out of trouble every time it raised its ugly head. Look at Ben Fields. He only got 6 months and got to serve it in his own house and got the king treatment the whole time he was there. Oh, excuse me, a trustee treatment. Well, yeah, he was really trustworthy. Think of what Mickey said in the deposition. What he said to Patty about Ben. He's a great guy, man. He's a good guy. He's a great guy. He's an all-around good guy. Dependable. Are you joking? And then Bert Sloan go put him in when he comes in to serve his 6 months. That's okay, buddy. I'll put you in as a trustee. Sickening is what it is. It's sickening. What about Steve Banks? What about Steve Banks? Steve Banks hired him. I don't know anything about Banks. So if anybody's got any information they want to send me, send it hillbillycrime@gmail.com. There's been a lot of talk about Danny Webb. And the only thing that I do know about Danny Webb, when he was going out of office, his office was in a deficit. They were commingling their funding. They couldn't keep track of their money. And they kept asking, and every time they needed bailed out, they'd go to the fiscal court and they'd get bailed out. Well, where's the accountability for the financial loss? Where's the accountability for the waste, the fraud, and the abuse? Where's that accountability? And you're the law dogs. Your friend is the county attorney. Your friend is the Commonwealth attorney, whose girlfriend is running around in your car, running rugs all over 2 counties or 3. In your official vehicle? How was Edison Banks not held accountable for that? You're the one turning her loose in your car. Where was the accountability? When I broke the law, I had the consequences. When I did something wrong, I had the consequences. There are consequences to our actions. Every single one of us. If we do something, they hold our feet to the fire. Where's the leniency for us? Because I sure ain't never seen none. But it just seems like the people who don't deserve it get it. Good interpretation, Elizabeth. I'm leaning that way. Ashley Short. Robin's Landing. I thought the judge's body language was more of trying to de-escalate the situation. I saw that too. I thought he was trying to de-escalate the situation too. You could tell it was starting to get heated and he was trying. But when he threw his hands up there, it was kind of like, that to me. But I absolutely agree with you. Yes, I think he was trying to de-escalate, but I don't think he ever thought that was going to happen. Danny Webb taught at Southeast Community College, investigative practices. I told you he did, because I took him. He was one of my very first teachers. And I tell you, well, never mind. It looked like he was saying, wow, Mickey, let's not do this. Well, I can tell you that whenever he did pew him and Judge fell down and then he got up and kind of looked back behind, the table, the look on his face just broke my heart. It was like, what the hell are you doing? He was already pew-pewed then. Don't know how many times. Deputies have to take at least an 8-week course at Eastern State University. What kind of deputies? Is that because what they said in the deposition was that road deputies had to take a 20-week academy class, training. So I don't know about that, LS. Yes, Danny Webb taught some classes. I knew he did. He gave me an A. Deputies pre-qualify every year too. Yeah, they have to do like their targets, pew, all that good stuff. Unqualified falls at the feet of the voters. Well, what am I always saying, y'all? Our elections around here are absolutely nothing but popularity contests. Who's got the most money? Who's going to show up at the festivals? Who's going to hand out the most t-shirts? Who's going to schmooze with them the best? Who's got the best mouthpiece? It ain't never about who's got the best resume. They don't care what your qualifications are. That ain't the way it goes here in these elections. Hello, lady from Georgia. Hello, Howard Robinson. Welcome. The only thing I'm mad at Mickey for is not building a case against the judge. He had 22 years to get all info on all that corruption. He could have made a difference sooner. But what do people want? They want to be accepted. I wanted to break in that circle down there so bad, you just don't even know. I wanted to so bad. I wanted them to accept me. I wanted to work with, like, I had had so many bad experiences with police and law enforcement and stuff. I wanted to go to school and then be able to work in, like, policy. Like, I wanted to work in HR, maybe is what you'd call it, or something. I wanted to help clean out the dirt. But that was what I wanted to do. And I wanted to work with treatment. Our jails did not accept any kind of medically assisted treatment. No jail in Kentucky did. I did my master's thesis on this, so I have a lot of information and knowledge about it. And I've lived it. I've lived it for 48 years of my life. So I know what mental illness is. I know what the damage it does to your, and being a survivor of childhood abuse and all that good stuff. I come from all that too. And I went down that hard road, and God pulled me out of it, man. I got myself out of it. And I wanted to help that. I wanted to be able to work in that circle some way with treatment. But at that time, the only treatment that they had was total abstinence. That was it. And I was an advocate for MAT treatment. I was down there telling them, look at me. Look at me. Look what it did for me. Don't look at the ones that are getting arrested with some in their back pocket, like and they don't have a prescription and they're not using it right. Look at me. Let me be your example of what it can do, of the possibilities. Let's get people treated. Abstinence ain't working. They didn't want to see me coming. I mean, they just didn't want to hear it. Didn't want to hear nothing I had to say. But then the next thing you know, they're all, well, Bert made Letcher County Jail the first jail in Kentucky that allowed MAT treatment. Are you joking me? I mean, it was just like a slap in the face. I wanted to be accepted so bad. And that was why I went to school. I thought, well, if they're not going to take me seriously, then I'm going to go to school and I'm going to get all those credentials and I'm going to make myself to where they'll have to take me serious. Well, honey, you couldn't have done no better than what I did. I took the NOCTI competency exam. It's a national exam. So that's all through the country, not just the state. You have to take this exam and pass to get your applied science associate's degree in law enforcement, which is what I was getting. It was my very first degree. It was a 3-hour exam. I got a 97.4. It was the highest ever recorded score at that time. I don't know if anybody's broke it. I didn't know that. My professor told me. Well, I guess that means I was pretty competent. Something that we don't see, but they wouldn't give me the time of day. They wouldn't let me be a dog warden or a dog catcher. But yet they hire their, Ben. They hire Ben Fields, whose sister Holly's over drug court, whose brother-in-law's over here, who's this one here. Somebody said Alan Borms now's working for the sheriff's department. His daughter works there now. Ain't she in high school? Has he got one older than that? Has he got more than one? And then you got Dangus said his grandson's working down there. And, I'm just using that as an example because somebody had just said it. So it was fresh on my memory. But it's that way everywhere. It's that way everywhere. Bert Sloan retired from jailer. Well, his brother's now jailer. Whenever Mickey did this, instead of them, and okay, now see, we even see in this deposition, you've got Deputy Norris, who was accused of being involved in the threatening of Jennifer Hill's boyfriend after he tried to report that allegedly that he pulled him over. He was pulled over 3 or 4 times that day by several of them. One of them a female. And we don't know which female that was. It's just unreal. Ashley. It's sad he never wanted to make a difference until it was going to affect his name, job, family life. Ain't that the way it always happens? People don't get it until it happens to them. Nobody cares about this, about nothing, until it happens to them and theirs. You don't get involved. Don't get involved. What do we tell people? Stay out of it. Ain't none of your business. Stay out of it. Don't get involved. Until it happens to them. Till it happens to you. Till it's your kid. Since the judge was as guilty as Field, I don't think it was the I can't help you look. I think it was something very sarcastic about nothing better be said about me. Look, well, that's a possibility. It is. Anything's really possible. But whatever it was, we saw what Mickey's reaction to it was, Or it might not have been, what Mickey did may not have been a reaction to the throwing the hands up. I'm just saying. It all kind of happened in a flow, LS. Ashley Short. That would have been nice, but I guess the civil suit was already filed before he knew to gather evidence and build a case. Plus, all of that should have been done by the Kentucky Attorney General. Listen, I think there's a massive boo-boo here between this what it's saying in this deposition and what it says in the Attorney General's reports. Didn't it say in the Attorney General's reports that he called all of those people? I didn't remember that Matt Easter putting in his report that they called him. I don't remember him saying that anybody contacted him except for Brittany or this Baxter lady. I'm pretty sure Baxter was the one who sent the initial contact to the Attorney General's office requesting an investigation into this. We saw that in the public records dump for Ben's case. And I don't remember them saying that. I think Mickey thought his daughter was, when she didn't answer his call, so he tried the judge's phone thinking would answer the judge's call. Well, that's a good theory. I haven't heard that one yet, Miss Marie. Allegedly, LESA. I personally believe the voters were scammed into believing he was qualified for the job. Well, he probably was. He had been working in the courthouse for 20 years. And I'm sure that this is what I meant to say an hour ago. The way that they hire people, they don't hire me. They don't hire people like me that come with a resume with all these degrees. They wouldn't even respond to me, let alone give me an interview. They don't want people like me. They want people right out of high school. They want somebody like their brother-in-law, sister-in-law. They want somebody that doesn't know anything so they can train them the way that they want to train them. They don't know any better. I don't think Mickey knew any better. I think Mickey did exactly what he saw Danny Webb do, and I think he did exactly what he saw Steve Banks do. And I think that's how these things go. That's why he kept LaShawna, because LaShawna was the only one that knew how to run the sheriff's department. If he didn't keep her and he came in, who was he going to hire to come in and do all of the paperwork? And nobody would know what to do. It's an elected position. You know, he had to have somebody. And I don't think Mickey did anything paperwork wise. He had her for that. So she's doing, in my mind, I'm thinking she's doing it all. She's doing all, handling all the money. She's handling all the turning on all the grants. She's turning in all the paperwork that they need to get their reimbursements. She's handling all that stuff. That's what her job is. But if it wasn't really doing all that great 3 sheriffs ago, don't you think it's time to find somebody to do it a little bit different? You know, this whole time, they weren't doing anything with the policies that they had there at the sheriff's department. I mean, every single company has a policy against sexual harassment. They have a policy against, stuff like that. I mean, I think that's kind of, ain't that like law? Don't they have to have like law against stuff like that? I mean, I don't know. So these bad practices, these bad ways that they've done things have just kept with the next sheriff and with the next sheriff because they keep the same person in that spot. And I'm not saying there's anything that she's doing anything wrong. I'm just saying, well, if the department is constantly in a deficit, they haven't been able to run theirself well. I mean, I don't even know how to say it without being offending somebody. Every town I've lived in has Chief Webb, Sheriff Webb, Detective Webb, but actually my grandma was Webb too. Such a popular name. William, I still think it was something personal between them. That Facebook thing bothers me. That not a joke. Run it past some straight men, ladies. I'm telling you, William, that's exactly right. I've had so many people tell me that today. I'm not saying any of them were, but do you remember what Ben said in his interview, in his Kentucky, the Attorney General's interview, when Matt Easter asked him if there was any men, and he said, none that I want to talk about. He was trying to make a bad joke, at least I thought. But that's how nose blind or deaf or whatever, tone deaf or whatever you want to call it. That's how they are. He thought that was perfectly acceptable to say in a Attorney General investigation interview. And he didn't ask for a lawyer. Do you think that was by design? Why did Dotson not tell him to not speak? Why did Jamie Hatton not tell Ben not to talk to the detective? I mean, surely to goodness, they're all friends, right? His wife still works in the courthouse. His sister is still drug courts director or whatever. Mickey said he never talked to Ben again after that. You believe that? I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. But Mickey said he didn't call Ben down there to give him that termination letter. He just saw him out in the parking lot. What was he doing out in the parking lot? He was already on suspension. He was there seeing his wife while she was at work. Or was he there to talk to his sister? Who was he there to see? What was he doing there? It just doesn't pass the smell test to me. He knew he was going to be convicted. Ben. I mean, he gave an interview. His wife didn't. She knew to ask for an attorney. LaShawna worked at the bank before Danny Webb hired her. Oh, so she didn't work there with Steve Banks. Then that was my bad. For 22 years, this hasn't just started. This was going on up there when I was 16 years old. I'm 35 now. Absolutely. It was going on way before then. Way before then. You got to remember Jimmy Kraft's daddy, James Wiley Kraft, ran it. And he was what? How old was he when he married his wife? I mean, his wife was 20 years old, 20-year-old beauty queen. And him 80 years old or 70 or however old he was. I mean, you know, I'm just saying, it's a pattern. It's a pattern. My daddy married a young woman too. Butt cheeks hanging out of her shorts. Sicko. It's pretty bad when your own sheriff's department runs a scam. And yes, Mickey knew he wasn't qualified. Marie, when the phone lit up, if it was his daughter's phone, he could have thought, yep. Oh, well, maybe. 468 watching. Hit the like button. Yeah, please hit that like button for us. It helps us way more than you even realize. And if you're not subscribed, be a subscriber. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. Terry, possibly there was a separation in the home and Mullins didn't want in the personal problem. I don't think that was the way that it was. From what I understand, what I found out later after that was they think that he was staying away from home on his own. I don't think he was kicked out. I think he was staying away from home on his own. Now, I don't know for sure. None of us know for sure. But if it makes sense. If he was fearing for his life and fearing for theirs to try and stay away from home. And he wasn't sleeping. He wasn't sleeping. So the reports that I've gotten out of the Leslie County Jail about Mickey was that he was absolutely terrified of the state troopers. I don't know why, but he was scared to death. And I think his fear seemed to calm down some once they left. And they said that he had not slept in a very long time. Like he was absolutely exhausted, they said. So, you know, was he staying up at night watching his back? That's a thought. I didn't even think about Mickey wondering if his daughter. He had to have known what they were doing. The text comment regarding the two transport discussing the preferences really creeper me out. In some cases, people vote against their own benefit. Oh, yeah. All the time. All the time. Mickey realized it was all going to fall on his shoulders. Yes, I agree with Sweet Tater. Sheriffs are peace officers. It's their job to take complaints of the public. And you make it, and they made it so difficult for anybody to make a complaint. Nobody could make one. Because then they had to go put it in writing where at Jamie Hatton's office. Really? Sheesh. Oh my goodness. Stines is Danny Webb Masonic Lodge brother. Interesting. I've heard that. That they're all Masons down there. I know what you're getting at, and honestly, it doesn't matter who they like. It's about the job they are doing. Lori, I wish Mickey was a better man. Well, a lot of people thought he was. A lot of people still thinks he is. I don't have my mind made up on any of it yet. Louis says the last 4 sheriffs have been in the Masonic Lodge. Well, that doesn't surprise me none. They're all in the Lions Club, too. Brenda Shank, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. It sure is. Why would the people who knew about Ben Fields not tell the sheriff? I don't buy it that Robbie Kinser and Jimmy didn't, Judge Kraft. I don't buy it that they didn't believe it. I just don't buy that. I was shocked when I read this. I was shocked. I don't know why I was shocked. I've heard so many stories about Jimmy Kraft. I've heard a ton of stories back when he was an attorney, a defense attorney. But then he became judge. But that man's always been so nice to me. Anytime I've ever talked to him, he was real nice. But I went in front of him one time when I was doing my expungement over all that crap with Borums. It was time for it to be expunged. So I went, I did all the paperwork. I paid for the certification. I did everything myself. I didn't have an attorney. And I went in there I had a court date. I went in there, went in front of Judge Kraft to have it expunged. And Edison Banks pops up and objects. Nope. He didn't want me to have it expunged. It was a dismissed charge anyway. I wasn't convicted of nothing. They ended up throwing it out because they didn't have anything. It was a dismissed charge. They had dismissed it, but it still shows up on your record, and I didn't want it on there. So I filed all the paperwork to have this dismissed case completely expunged off my record. And Edison Banks said no. And instead of Jimmy doing the right thing and going ahead with the expungement, no, he didn't do it. He did whatever Edison Banks wanted him to. I had to come back at another 6 months or a year or something and do it again. And all it did was just prolong my suffering another year. You think somebody's going to hire you when you've got something like that on your record? Hell no, they ain't. Especially not for something that I'd worked my 10 years of my ass in school for something that was just a bunch of BS. All because I spoke up for myself. Fat boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? It's been going on and they just got caught. That's all. They're going to be slapped on the hand. It's all corrupted. That's exactly right. There's going to be a slap on the hand on every bit of this. Ain't none of it nothing's going to happen. They didn't even, Terry Adams, the judge executive, didn't even put somebody else in as sheriff. All he did was just promote from within. He promoted from within Mickey's own department. I didn't think that was a good idea. I mean, and I don't have nothing against the guy that he promoted. He was a school resource officer. Happy for him. But I just felt like they should have gone outside of that department. They should have made Alicia sheriff. All right, we got a school resource officer too, and she's awesome. We love her. I think all Mickey, I do not recall, was because that judge told him he's best keep his mouth shut. Well, I think having Dotson there was a big intimidation, but he's brought him there. He's the one that's brought him as his representation. But it seems to me like Mickey could be manipulated very easily. That's how that's how I get in trouble a lot. Cops will say something to me or somebody in the law enforcement or official or whatever. They'll tell me something that I know is BS. But they're used to people not knowing any better. They're used to people not having any idea what really is supposed to be going on. And so when somebody tries to give me some BS crap that I know is crap, and I call them on it because, I mean, it's usually got something to do with me. So whenever they try to give me something that I know better, and I end up getting in trouble for it because they don't like it when you call them on their BS. And half the time they're serious. They don't know any better. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're really thinking they're right. Like Borum's going down to the fire department and sitting down there for a month, begging the firemen to write a statement against me. And not one of them would do it. Not one of them would do it. One of the firemen told me about it. Said he bugged us to death for a whole month. He'd come up here and sit in the parking lot. And he'd just sit there and talk and just BS with them and go on. And the only reason he was there was to just get one of them to sign a statement against me. They all knew the chief liked me, and none of them would do it because they didn't want to go against their chief. Plus, they couldn't write anything against me. I didn't do anything. So what's he do? Because he can't get allegedly, because he can't get nobody to write a statement against me, he goes and writes it himself and allegedly and brings it back and says, I done wrote it for you. All you got to do is sign it. Are you joking? You can't do that. Nobody'd sign it. So he never did get his statement. But that's the kind of stuff. I'm sure he thought he was all within his rights to do that. You can't do that. But I guarantee you, if somebody would have said something to him at the time, buddy, he'd be, oh, yes, I can too. Let me just hit you with my chest. That other cop chest bumped me all the way back to the parking lot, threatening to take me to jail because I hollered, I want an attorney. Can't wait for the next council meeting. Is Jerry Springer invited? He was so incapacitated by this encephalitis, he shouldn't have been still working. Sorry, y'all. I get all upset over all that stuff. It just tears me up. Because that's not fair. It's not fair. If I hadn't had enough money, and I didn't have any money, my mom had to give it to me. I didn't have a dime. If I hadn't had enough money to go hire an attorney to represent me, I would have been stuck representing myself against these people. And I don't know if it would have went as well. You know, I had Ned Pillersdorf as my lawyer, so he came with a little bit of clout. His name just comes with clout. I'm sure hoping a guilty verdict comes back real soon. I guess we're talking about the other one. Let me get down here some. I let my child ride his bicycle. For anybody who doesn't understand what I'm talking about, I let my child ride his bicycle down to the fire department. And the fire department was at the mouth of our holler. He wanted to ride down there and ask the fire chief if they won their baseball tournament that Saturday, could they ride the fire truck with the sirens and everything? Because that's something that Neon does for the baseball the winners of the championships, any of the ball games, really. And so I said, yeah, okay, yeah. I said, but you come right back. And he said, all right. So he gets on his bicycle and he rides down there. 15 minutes went by and he wasn't home. So I got in my car and I rode down there. They were all out there washing their trucks or something. They were sitting out there at the fire department. I said, you see, I drove around. I didn't see him. Drove around. I came back around the block. I said, have you all seen Alan? They were like, yeah, he was just here a little bit ago. Last time we saw him, he was riding his bicycle down past the funeral home. So I go down through there, circle up around the house, still don't see him. Well, I circled about 10 times. And somebody kept seeing me circle. And they were like, what are you doing? I said, have you seen Alan? And they were like, no, I ain't seen Alan. Why? I said, well, I can't find him. Well, the more people you ask, have you seen Alan? The more people start looking for him. Next thing you know, somebody sticks it on Facebook. If you've seen Alan, he was right next door to my house. He saw Carly outside playing in the yard, and I guess they went inside with her grandma. He hadn't seen her there in 2 months or something. Little kids do stuff like that. And when they went in the house, they couldn't hear me hollering. But the way that their driveway, the way that the block was, it's a one-way street. Well, the way that their driveway is backwards, reverse from that one-way street. So I kept going around the block, but I couldn't make that turn to go up their driveway. And I just didn't think Alan would be there. You know, she was an old woman and her mom lived there who was like 97 years old at the time or something. I just didn't think Alan would be there. Well, that's where he was at. So lesson learned. The last place you think your child will be, that's usually where they're at. That's where mine was at. And that's it. That's the story, y'all. They called me everything but a white girl. I was the worst mother. What kind of mom lets their child ride her bicycle? Are you kidding me? Oh, it was bad. It was bad. And they tried to take my kids and everything. I didn't have no history with CPS. CPS hadn't been called on me ever. It's just awful the way that they abuse the system. And it's all about money. It's all about money. That's all they wanted, was to open a case on me, a child services case on me. So for the money is what I think. Because they tried to bribe me. They tried every way they could to get me to voluntarily sign and allow them to open a case on me. We've got a program. We'll give you $500. Anything that's wrong in your house, if you've got a broken step, if you need a new refrigerator, anything that you've got wrong in your house, we'll give you this $500 voucher. if you just voluntarily sign and let us open a case on you. No. They didn't have enough to substantiate a case on me, so they wanted me to voluntarily sign and let them open. No. It was a nightmare. I'm telling you, it was a nightmare. Jan Brady, my opinion is Mickey was not educated enough to do this job. Not to mention, he was physically not able to get around good because of his obesity. Elizabeth, congratulations. You're at 9,000. Oh, well, yay. Seems to me that's up. It's a 9/11 on your way to 1,000,000. Well, we sure hope so. This was a pure accident, y'all. I didn't know anything about YouTube. But I love it and I'm having a blast. My opinion, that's you. I done read that one. I've seen it since early 80s. Crooked White Boys. They had something on him if he's that scared. Well, they might. LS, maybe Dotson volunteered to go with Mickey. He may have. Y'all hit that like and subscribe, share with your friends. Become a member. We'd love to have you, and it supports the channel. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Sherry, Clary, it's the way it always goes. When we women stand up and tell our truth, these Kentucky men can't handle it. Well, men usually don't like me. Mommy's the same way. She's been single all her life. Men don't usually like her either. Elizabeth, you're so much like me. I speak my mind and do not put up with crap. Well, I just think it's hypocritical. You know, I had to suffer all my consequences. If I get out here, if I drink, I don't drink alcohol, by the way, but if I was drinking and I got out there in my vehicle and I drove to town and they caught me drinking, they caught me driving at the at the Taco Bell. If I was passed out in the Taco Bell drive-thru in my police car as the chief of police of Whitesburg, Kentucky, oh yeah, I would have lost my job. I'd have went to jail. My kids would have been shamed, and it would have been bad, y'all. It would have been really, really bad. But the Whitesburg, Kentucky chief of police, he gets caught passed out in his police car in Hazard, Kentucky, in a Taco Bell drive-thru, and he keeps his job. Nothing happens. James Wiley Craft apparently took him into a room by himself and talked to him. And then he got out on the paper and told the reporters that he'd learned a big lesson. What'd they do to that girl? What'd they do to that woman that worked here at Jenkins? That was the chief of police in Elkhorn. We just did a video on her, on the article anyway. She didn't get to keep her job. She didn't get treated like one of the boys. Looks to me like they did everything they could to put it in the paper. June, I'm an original member somehow, but I'd like to pay dues and support the channel. Well, thank you, Miss June. You can go go be a member. Go to the memberships. But you holler at me. I've got my links there and everything. Go to the homepage of my channel and you'll find all my links there and the memberships. Let's see. The 3 flamingos. Somebody said, why wouldn't they tell the sheriff? I think they told Mickey. I know they didn't all come and tell Mickey in one day. That's a dang lie. I think there's a lot of lies going on. Kraft was all about the money. I know that for a fact. Most lawyers are, most lawyers are. How anyone can watch that video and still think Mickey is innocent or a hero is beyond me. Watch the video. It speaks for itself. I'm telling you, that video just traumatized me when I watched it. Robin's Landing, look what happened to that man that was pulled over 4 times after trying to report it. Exactly. Well, Taco Bell drive-thrus make you sleepy. Jessica, Taco Bell is the downfall of many a rug addict. It sure is. Good old Taco Bell. Most people around here act just like Elizabeth and feel the same as her. They just don't know nothing about YouTube and lives. They're planting gardens and getting wood. Love to hunt. My goodness, there were 4 of us as kids, and our bikes went everywhere, whether we could reach the seat or the ground without falling over. I know. My pastor was there, and he kept saying, I think we need to call the police. I think we need to call the police. And I was like, no, we ain't calling the law. I was like, he's here somewhere. We just ain't found him yet. He's here somewhere. We just ain't found him yet. And Carly's grandma finally saw it on Facebook. Somebody put it on Facebook. And she saw it on Facebook. And I reckon she messaged somebody and said, hey, he's right here at my house. And so Fudge was out there helping us look for him. And here comes Fudge walking down the back street there with Alan. Alan had boots that were too big, 2 sizes too big for him. And he's just walking down the road, swinging his arms. Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's going on? He was like 8. Man, it was bad. I'm telling you, it was really bad. It was awful. That's insane. What did they end up trying to charge you with? Well, we left that night, everybody left. They wouldn't even let me take my kids home. They made Mom take my kids to her house 6 months or 3 months later, or whenever it was. I don't even remember how long went by. Next thing you know, here comes Alan Borms to my house saying he's got a warrant for an indictment. He's got an indictment for child abuse, neglect, wanton endangerment. Are you kidding me? Honey, I ain't joking one bit. I got the grand jury testimony that Borms went down there and gave in my discovery. Well, Edison Banks ended up dismissing it. But if it wouldn't have been for Ned Pillersdorf, he wouldn't have. And I wasn't the best client because I was outraged and I wanted heads to roll. And I wanted accountability. Like I was so upset. So I wrote a big letter because one of the state cops was there. They brought everybody there. It was awful. And he looked at me and said, "You've only got two things going for you. You got all your teeth and you ain't got sores all over your face." And I had just graduated 4 days before that, magna cum laude, with my bachelor's degree, with full honors. Full honors. I worked my ass off. And he said that to me when I couldn't find my child. So, yeah, I wrote a letter to the state police captain or whoever it was, telling him about his trooper and his attitude and what he did. And next thing I knew, Ned was calling me, "Did you write a letter?" I was like, "Well, yeah." Well, what'd that state police do? They sent it to Edison Banks to try to use it against me. I didn't know. I had no idea. I had no idea just how far that you have the right to remain silent and anything and everything will be used against you in court. I was writing a complaint about their trooper, and they sent it to Edison Banks to use as evidence against me, to prosecute me. Oh, yeah, Ned didn't like me. He didn't like me at all. Poor Ned. I just didn't understand so I've learned the hard way, y'all. When I say I've learned the hard way, I've learned the hard way, unfortunately. I know better now, but I didn't then. I believe she could outshine Hal Rogers. She would be down to earth on people's level. People are hungry for some real, yes, they are. But if you don't have any money, you can't run for stuff like that. If you ain't got money, it's all a money racket. And what have we learned from all of this? If you ain't dirty when you go in, you sure as hell are by the time you come out. Unfortunately. Because, and it's just like with employers, every job that I've ever worked at, I've seen how they cut corners and they try to get around things. You know, I'm always disappointed. I'm always just shocked when I see just how far people go for $1. Listen, I'm poor. I'm poor as a church mouse. I am poor. Let's get the real accent in here. I am poor. I live in a shack. I ain't even got a bedroom. My children have the only bedrooms, and I sleep on the couch with my dogs. I'm poor. I don't have anything. I'm a nobody. But that's okay. I'm satisfied. I'm happy. I mean, you know, of course we all want to. I've had a lot of ambition over time, but I've had my teeth kicked in because of it. And I've just learned, you know, back to that acceptance thing. Everybody wants to be accepted. So how do you think Mickey felt when he was accepted into that circle down there, when he got his first job working down there? I bet he thought, yeah, man, even though he might not have been on the same level with them on the pervy stuff, he still was accepted by the big dogs. I bet they all felt that way. Ben, all of them. And Ben's whole family, you know, Ben's family. Somebody said that Ben was the constable. It wasn't Ben that was the constable. It was Ben's dad that was a constable. From the way that I understand it, it was his dad. And everybody thinks the world of his parents. I've not heard anything bad about his parents. Everybody just talks glowingly about it, that he has got a wonderful mother and a wonderful father. I don't know him. But acceptance, when you're accepted by the cool kids, and them cool kids accept you into their circle, they take you under their wing, and then what? Then you find out, ooh, the more time you spend with them, like, ooh, I don't know about this, but you got to be their friend. You got to be their buddy. You got to play the game. You go along to get along. Thank you. Thank you. I'll get you for suggesting she go into that dreadful world. June, I don't want to do anything public since I live here. Yeah, no. I know. Mark Kaiser, cirrhosis causes something similar. It's almost like dementia. Mickey might have been going to DD for legal advice before he went to the judge's office. He could have. Yeah. I've never said anything. The only thing I've heard that he went to see Dotson before he went to the courthouse, but Dotson wasn't there. That was what I heard. Norris is one tased my grandson, 16-year-old, and questioned him about his dad. Well, somebody also said that Jason Eccles. I was shocked to see Jason Eccles' name all through this. I accidentally put a picture of him up in a lineup thing that I did on TikTok. I had Mickey and Ben and a couple other people from the sheriff's department in it, but I'd accidentally put Eccles' picture in there. He sent me a message and he was like, "Why is my picture in there?" And I was like, "First of all, bring your tone down some." He was like, "Oh, well, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to come off like that. No. I was being nice, man. Don't you remember me?" I took it down, of course, because it was a mistake. I'd made a mistake. I'm not hard to deal with. I'm not hard to listen. I make mistakes. I'm wrong. I was wrong last night. I thought that Stacy guy was an employee, but he wasn't. He was a participant. And that answers questions about that. But from what I gathered, they were trying to put him in jail. I don't want it. You have to deal with all them down there. I can see that right now. You see me going to Hatton for anything? He'd kick me out of his office like he does everybody else. Thanks for being part of the best dang channel and chat on the tube. We've got Tater's Tubers here, y'all. She left us. She left us. She's tired. I am too. It's almost 10 o'clock. Sherry Clary, it's the way it goes. It always goes. Oh, I already read that one. Sorry, y'all. It's going to be interesting how they try to explain chasing an unarmed man around a desk 8 times. I know. Unless he was trying, and in his mind, if he was taking out the threat. What do? You take out the head? I'm not convinced he was the head, but it could have been. I don't know. Follow the money. the power and the corruption. Somebody said, why wouldn't they tell the sheriff? I think they told Mickey. I know they didn't all come in and oh, I read that one too. What did I do? Go the wrong way? I guess I did. Let me get down here this way. Yeah, does 88.7 still play local broadcasting? To me, this would fit. That's what Mommy does her taters tubers on. Mommy's been a DJ on 88.7 for the last, 15 years? 10 years. She's Sweet Tater. She does a show called Taters Tubers on 88.7, and she also does Out of the Blue. So you can go to WMMT 88.7 and hear Mommy DJ on the radio. She DJs banjo music. And she's very, very musically educated. She knows everything about Appalachian music. I am rich in love and so many other things that matter. That's right, Miss Marnie. Thank you. You have a good heart, peace of mind, and a clear conscience, and that's worth more than money. That's right, Miss Jessica. I can lay my head down at night and I sleep just fine. I sleep just fine. Louis says that was a joke. I've never been to Neon. I think I might have missed the joke. Oh, maybe this is it. The fact Barnes worked an investigation on you says a lot. He is the school resource officer at LCC. They use a mirror under his nose to tell if he is still breathing. He's a joke. That man is a joke. Unbelievable. Unbelievable what he did to me. Like, just can't make it up. And honey, when he came up there and arrested me, he came at 9:30 at night, thinking that he was going to be able to catch me off guard up there by myself. My cats have been in it. The cats just had an accident. But he thought that he would catch me up there at night by myself with my kids, and he would then be able to call the social worker in to get my kids when he took me to jail, even though my mom lived 2 houses down. But that didn't happen because my kids were with my neighbor at Vacation Bible School. They had Vacation Bible School that week, so they were gone. They had not got home yet. So, of course, I'm being handcuffed and taken to jail. That he knew I would have to wait until the next morning to see a judge or to see pretrial. And what did they do? See, this was their plan all along. I didn't know it. I had no idea, but I figured it out. The next morning, I see pretrial, and what is part of my release from jail? To cooperate with social services. So because they didn't have enough of anything to open a case on me, and I refused to voluntarily sign, because this is something that a lot of people don't know. If they if they have enough evidence to substantiate opening a social services case on you, you automatically go on a child abuse and neglect registry for 7 years in Kentucky. That goes on your record. So if you go to try and get a job and they do a background check on you, that comes up. It's the same as a sex offender registry, only it's for child abuse and neglect. And are you joking me? You're doing this to me? Oh, yeah, he was doing that to me. For what? Why? Like, who's guiding you to do something like this? My children had never been away from me, ever. They'd never spent the night with they might have spent the night with my mom 1 or 2 times in their life. They had never stayed the night away from me, except for I could count it on one hand until they were 12 years old. I was the only thing my boys knew. And my kids went to school. They's clean. They's fed. I was a ball mom. It was just because I couldn't find Alan. You're taking it to this extent? Oh, yeah, he did. And he refused to back down. Didn't matter. And it wasn't just him. Edison Banks pushed it too. The fire chief down there promised me, he was going to talk to Edison. I said, well, will you come to court for me? You stood up for me with the cops down there at the fire department. Your firemen wouldn't write a statement against me because they knew how you felt, that you liked me and that it was wrong. Will you come to court for me? Oh, no, I can't do that. My wife would get mad. What are you talking about? Your wife? Why would your wife get mad at you? They're trying to take my kids. And you won't come to court for me? Oh, but I swear, I promise, Elizabeth, I'm going to talk to Edison. I work cases with Edison all the time, arson cases. I'll talk to Edison. Well, it didn't do no good. Didn't matter what he knew about me. It didn't matter how much he liked me. He wasn't going to go to bat for me. He might have said something to them cops while they were cussing me out there in the parking lot. But when it come to putting his name on something for me, he wasn't about to do that. His wife might get mad. We can all set you up a campaign fund. No. No, thank you. But did they get his order correct at the drive-through? I don't know. But you know what? The hazard police that caught him, they didn't, and I don't know what they did. Like he didn't face no charges, it said. None of that case of yours should have made it out of district court. Well, it didn't even go to district court. I never got arrested. He took it straight to the grand jury with Edison Banks. I had no idea they were doing that. Like, I thought it was over. Except for the social service. Well, the social services case came after that. But I thought it was over. Big surprise. No. We're going to charge you with felonies. I mean, whose bright idea was that? And nothing had any, like all the paperwork that I ended up getting from, because I did my appeal with the social services. Honey, they opened a social services case on me after they let me out of jail, because that was the condition of my release, that I cooperate with social services. So I was forced into a 6-month social services case where social workers were coming to my house, all this stuff. And there was nothing I could do. Nothing I could do. There was nothing that Ned could do. It was open. When they closed it 6 months later, because they didn't have anything, When they closed it 6 months later, they give you this little piece of paper and they say, you have 30 days to file an appeal with Frankfurt. If you do not file your appeal within those 30 days, the window's gone. I filed my appeal. How many people do you think would do that? To know to do that. And I'm really shocked that the lady even gave it to me. Like, I'm shocked. I bet you a lot of people told me that social workers never gave them one. But I guess because I raised so much hell about it, she gave me the appeal paper. So I filed an appeal with Frankfurt after they closed the case. And I requested an administrative review or an administrative hearing. I didn't have a lawyer. I had to do it all myself. I have a lawyer that's my friend who helped me put my appeal paperwork together and write my appeal. He just kind of gave me a skeleton and I filled it all in. But I did it myself. And I requested the hearing. Frankfurt dug into the paperwork to come to bring them to come down there to do the hearing. And they didn't want to do that. They sent me an agreement, a settlement agreement. But it was called a good faith settlement, meaning that, and in the paper, they were trying to say that the social workers, everything that they had done in good faith. And I said, oh, hell no, I ain't signing that. They did not do anything in good faith. No, I'm not signing that. Well, I made them change the title of it because I was just so upset about that. They were trying to cover their ass. Even though Frankfurt ain't the one that did it, they can't admit to the wrongs of the social workers here in Letcher County because that would open them up to a lawsuit. So they can't, and they're not going to do that. And I didn't want to sign it. I said, no, I want my hearing. I want accountability. I want somebody to be held accountable for what they did to me. I want to file a civil suit. Well, Ned wouldn't touch it. And my lawyer friend told me that if I didn't sign that paper, he wasn't going to help me no more. I think that's what he said. Because I was not listening to sound legal advice. He said, you won. Sign it. And I said, no, I've not won. He said, you won. Sign it and let it be over with. So I reluctantly signed it. But in it, it said, we are clearing you of all of this. This case, the 6-month-long case that they just closed, will be removed from your record. If your name has inadvertently been put on the registry, it will be removed. I've still got all the paperwork. I've got it all. So I was cleared of any wrongdoing whatsoever, and every bit of that was removed. But it doesn't take away the 6 months that we were forced to endure it. It didn't take away the fact that for the next 2 years, every time my children saw a police car or a police officer, they would go into shaking fits of anxiety and fear that they were coming to take my children out of my home. Like, we were traumatized. I hadn't been to jail in years. I was traumatized. He knew that I wouldn't be able to get out until the next day. He did that on purpose. He didn't have to come and get me at 9:30 at night. There wasn't nothing that Ned could do. That's what I mean. They manipulated the system. And I had a ton of court dates before that ever happened. It was awful. And he caused every bit of it. And he pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. But I tell you what, when Ned went in to see Edison to get that dismissed, Borums was in there. And I was supposed to go in there, but Ned wouldn't let me go in. He said, hell no, you can't keep your effing mouth shut. So he wouldn't let me go in. So he went in by himself. I have no idea what he said. And after that, he gave me it was dismissed or whatever. Well, me and the people that went with me, we were outside in the parking lot, just saying our goodbyes and, breathing from the situation we'd been in for so long, not knowing what was going to happen. I bet you Edison gave him down the road after Ned left. I bet he did, because when Borums come out of there, he wouldn't even look at me. He had his head down. He wouldn't look up. He wouldn't even look at me. He got in his vehicle and he left. Neon population is 12 people, 3 horses, and a sweet tater has 3 dogs. Hit the like button and don't care who sees it or knows it. I like Hillbilly. Hey, some of my best friends won't hit the like button because they're scared to death. Their boss will see it. Your likes remain anonymous. It counts and helps boost the channel and gets us in the algorithm. That's right. It don't show who does it. Judge Mullins had been looked at before. Someone joked that if you shook his computer, a teenage girl would fall out. Well, there's been a whole lot of rumors. A whole lot. Let's see. Mark says, encephalopathy is caused by many things, but is more or less sweeping around the brain or fluid on the brain. Yeah. Most people around here act just, I already read that one. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close this one down too. Everybody's getting tired. We've been on here almost 3 hours. And then there are children that are and social workers close their eyes, but then they want to charge you for a normal thing. I'm telling you. Public apology? No. There ain't nobody getting one of them. Ain't nobody getting one of them. But I mean, can you all understand why I wanted someone to be held accountable for what they did, or what they tried to do, but what they did, and nobody was ever held accountable. I just finally had to give up and let go of it and move on, and I got every bit of it expunged. It was all gone. It wasn't fair what they did. I want to hear Sweet Tater play that dulcimer I saw on her wall behind her. I have dulcimer music, but have never managed to get one. Yeah, she's got a couple of them up there. Randall Turner, in a small county, how do they say in office if they are leaning on people too hard? You have to do something pretty bad in my county to not be accommodated, if you ask right. Miss Ann, that's exactly what Ned said to me when I went in and got the law, asked him to be my lawyer. Who did you piss off? Yep, that's exactly what he said. What did you do? What? And it was 6 years. Because it took me 6 years to get it all over with. Yep. They had a lot of delays. 6 years and $6,000 in lawyer fees. I won in the end. Really? At what cost? That was kind of like what I was saying. What did I win? Because I didn't feel like I won anything. All right, guys. I will see you all tomorrow. We'll be on in the morning for the trial for deliberations. And then tomorrow evening, we've got Gavin Fish. Gavin doesn't do the simulcast, so you guys will have to go watch on Gavin's show if you want to watch it. But I'll put it in a playlist on mine after it's over. All right, y'all. Well, you have a great rest of your night. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all of you that support the channel. You guys are awesome. Miss Lynette Eads. Thank you. You all don't know how much it helps me. It's the only thing I got right now, so I appreciate it. All right, y'all. We will see you in the morning. Peace out, Girl Scout. Bye, honey.